Yeah, I saw in the, I don't know, loyalty who?
Backlog grooming this week.
Yeah, some people. For some people.
So okay lah, later they can join lah. Okay. Welcome guys to episode 2 of knowledge sharing. So this month will be with Melan. Supposedly we had this session last month lah, but Melan wasn't well lah, right? He was sick, so we had to postpone it for him. So finally we are here.
Escalator stunts.
So finally we are here to have the session. So for those that haven't joined this knowledge sharing before, so how it works is presenter will do the presentation. This time around we're doing a bit different. So any questions that you have regarding any slides, you can just post it on the comment lah. So once the presentation is done, we will go through the question, and then that time also Melan will accept Q&A lah. Okay, I think we can start. Pass to you, Melan.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Okay. Welcome to the second episode of knowledge sharing. As Adam mentioned, I will be doing this session. So today's topic is how I work with engineers. So this is mainly based on my experience working with different kind of engineers for last few years inside Settle and also prior to Settle, front end, back end. So I've been working with few engineers. So I'm going to discuss the things I do, things currently working for me, things currently not working for me, and this session mainly will angle towards the mobile, but I'll try to relate it to all the other teams as well, because the experience examples and stuff might be from mobile because I'm working on mobile. And yeah, as I mentioned, based on my experience. So let's get started. So this session I have divided into 3 sections. First section is cooking, second is tasting, and third is adapting. Yeah, this has nothing to do with food. Yeah, sorry to bring food-related titles at this time. But this is basically our process of working. So by cooking, what I mean is the stage where designing and also development together. So from starting designing and then development, that stage together is what I refer here as cooking. Testing, by testing I mean is user QA, design QA, so testing stage. Adapting, we'll see about that at the end. And yeah, before I get into the first topic, so I just want to quickly share what is my basic setup when I'm going to work with the engineers. So mainly, the first thing, these are just a couple of very simple things. So the first thing, I have a Slack group with all the engineers. So because I'm working in a mobile team now, so I have iOS engineer and Android engineer. So I have a Slack group with both of them. But in that group, I'm talking about possibilities or feasibility of a thing. So let's say I have a concept, I want to validate whether we can do that or not. So I use that group. So yeah, I can message in other channels as well, but I don't want to just alert everybody about those kind of stuff. So this is mainly I'm talking to those developers. So I just use those group. And also, let's say I have any design change or any changes in a document or something, so I can directly talk with them in that group. And also one nice thing I like about this group is because whenever the engineer has a technical question that he needs to ask from the other engineer, so let's say iOS engineer has a problem, has a question, so I want to ask the iOS Android engineer, so they use that group as well, so I can get some idea about what is happening as well. So the technical side, I can see the technical side as well. So that's about the group. And the second thing is getting access to everything. By this I mean getting access to the dev environment, staging, test flight, admin portal, everything. So before I start, so before I before I start anything. So I just need access to test what they're doing, right? So I'm getting access to, like, whenever I'm changing teams. So first thing I do is getting access to everything. So these are, I know all of us currently doing this, but I just want to state this in the beginning. Yeah. So let's get into the topics. So the first topic is cooking. As I mentioned, uh, this is the designing stage and also the development stage. So here I'm going to talk about the things I do in this stage. So first thing is involve them by them as in engineers. Involving them, I'm trying to get them involved throughout the process. Uh, yeah, including the design process as well. But it doesn't mean I share all the work in progress designs. So what I mean by involving them in the design process. So let's say I'm sharing a design on the backlog grooming. So let's say I'm working on the first version, but the future, I have designs for the future versions. But on this particular sprint, we are only going to work on the first version. So in that time, maybe not in the backlog grooming, but I let them know in the Slack group that these are the future versions. So they will be aware of that as well. So they can plan ahead. So let's say there's a drastic change from second version to the third version. So they know what is going to happen. And also sometimes I'm getting the validation for concepts, as I mentioned. So if I sometimes in mobile teams, we have some like crazy ideas, like crazy gestures, animations and stuff. So before getting deep into that concept, I message them and ask whether we can do this or not. Or sometimes if they say no, we still go ahead and do it. But yeah, just asking them. And the other thing is sometimes when I'm trying to find a solution for a design, I ask the engineers as well for their opinion. They're also intelligent people. Some they are creative people as well, I think. So I assume so they could have some good ideas as well. And also the one thing I experience a lot is whenever if I'm struggling with a solution, struggling to find a solution or something, maybe that same problem that engineer has fixed like few years ago in a different company or like different environment, maybe they have experienced that same issue. So sometimes it's not, I'm not doing things for every single design, but whenever I feel it like I need to get some different opinion outside my head, so I'm asking them as well. And the next thing is what I do during this stage is documentation. Actually, this could be a separate topic someone else can do in a future knowledge sharing session, but here I'm going to share what I'm doing inside this documentation, what I do when I do documentations. So documentations, the main reason I find it very useful is this is very helpful for me to save time. Yeah, I know I had to spend some time on creating these, but it's I can get the return very successfully by saving time at the end. And also another main thing is I don't want to let the engineers guess, because if you don't provide like a clear, if I don't provide like a clear detail what I want, then they're going to guess. So when I notice when engineers are guessing, they guess funny. So they're guessing very differently to the way I'm guessing. So I want to avoid that. So in documentation, I have these kind of things mainly. So first thing is the UI characteristics. By UI characteristics, what I mean is these kind of spacing, margins, and all the UI related elements. And sometimes when it comes to like a responsive design or mobile, different sizes. So when I take mobile, so if I take iPhone, there are different sizes. So if some design I can fit perfectly on iPhone 8 or something, but it'll get cramped on iPhone 5. So then I have to let the engineer know clearly what they have to do when the device is small. So those kind of stuff. So I always keep putting it clearly what they have to do to handle those stuff. And the next thing is components. So this is slightly new to mobile engineering, mobile design team. because we recently started doing this modularization project now. So like how we have components in our design system, now the engineers has those components in their system as well. They call it UI components. They have the UI components, we have our components. So whenever I'm using those components, I am letting the engineer know in the document here I have reused this particular component. Otherwise, if they don't know, then they will like try to do it from the scratch. They should know, but you never know whether they missed it or something. But I always try to let them know in the documentation about that. Not just the components. So we have other things in the design system as well, like the typography, shadows, colors, and everything. So these typographies things, I also the text styles also I put in the document. Because I know they can get these values from Zeppelin or Figma, but I find it easy for them to check a document from top to bottom, and if they can see everything clearly, they tend to make very less mistakes. So that's, as I mentioned at the end, when I'm doing design QA or something, I can save a lot of time. Sorry, and because some sorry, because some engineers ask questions, some just assume and just finish. So I met few engineers, they're always like annoying, and it's good annoying and asking so many questions. That's a good thing, I think. But some engineers, they don't ask any question, they just submit the ticket to testing, and then there are so many issues. So I find it very helpful when we have a document, so they tend to make very less mistakes. And the other thing I include in documentation is calculations. By calculation, what I mean is something like this. So this is a calendar component we recently did for mobile design system. So here the width and height of the dates, so 1 2 3 4 5, these dates, width and height of these dates are dynamic based on the device width. So in a small device, this is the date is a smaller size. So I could have just write that in a sentence and let the engineer know, yeah, this is how it is. But again, I didn't want them to guess, so that's why I created this. It looks complex, but it's just take few values and dividing and stuff. So it's a simple equation. So I do this because because iOS and Android, I'm working with them, so they have they're going to do this in the same way. So if I just have it, if I just told them, yeah, I need width and height dynamic, I never know, maybe they will use a different value instead of the device width to calculate this. So without letting them guess, and make it consistent in both platforms, I try to include these kind of calculations. Uh, and also the thing I notice, developers love their numbers. So whenever they see this kind of stuff, they appreciate. So they find it very helpful for them. Yeah, actually, it's helpful for them as well. So they find it very helpful. So they appreciate that as well. So they can save their time. That's a good thing. Sorry. Okay, that's calculations. And the next thing is prototypes and animations. So in our designs, there are so many animations and prototypes. So animations and like transitions. So in animation, so I, I think the best way to explain an animation is showing the animation, how it works. So instead of like try to explain that this goes below that and then after a few seconds something happening. So instead of telling like that, so it's better, I find it better for them, better to show animation, how it works in a GIF or a video file. And also animation comes with other specs as well, like the like the duration, easing, and all kind of stuff. So I always like include those as well. So there's again the consistency, and again developer don't have to guess, so they don't have to stick to the default values, whatever the OS is providing. And if the animation is very complex or very long or something, so I try to break the animation into few sections and explaining each section. Like first this, I don't know. So first the circle come to this position and then turning into a rectangle or something. So like I have the animation for the circle first. I explain the easing and everything, and then changing into a rectangle. I explain that separately. So those I divide it into few sections and explain it separately. And then I always try to I always do that whenever I have like this kind of divided into section animations. I always put the full animation at the end as well. So yeah, for the engineers, so they can see the sections clearly. So then they don't have to process the animation in their head by combining every bit of small pieces, so they can clearly see the full animation. So that's, I always try to keep that. And other thing is transitions. So we have not just on mobile, so web and other platforms as well. We have page transitions. Sometimes we use just the regular ones, but sometimes we have some other complex transitions. So we like keep one value from this page and then change the position of that page in the next page, some kind of stuff. So those kind of stuff also I show in a GIF and then explain how it works. And also prototypes. If I have a working prototype, I try to include that as well. So, but one concern about the prototype is the developers assuming this prototype is 100% correct, because if they see a prototype, so sometimes we don't put links to every single like a button, so we don't link everything, right? So sometimes they assume wrong things when we have like when I have like half-baked prototype. So if I have a proper prototype, I do in ProtoPie or something instead of, yeah, maybe Figma also. But if I have, I put that. But sometimes, a couple of times they have requested the prototype as well. But when they have the document, if I have prototype as well, I include that also. And the next thing is sometimes in our designs, when I have a design, sometimes in many cases, I think, so we are only changing few part, like small section of that particular page. Sometimes we have the full like a new page or full redesign. But whenever I have like a small section updating in that particular sprint, so I'm letting them know clearly in the document, yeah, don't ignore everything else in the page. This is the only thing you have to worry about. So again, stopping them guessing. And so I am clearly showing what part you need to consider. So yeah, so I find it whenever I write more details, the lesser the questions they raise, because I see this clearly, because before coming to Settle, I haven't really done any design spec. Before Settle, I was just putting like small details inside a Jira ticket or something. But now I write documents for like almost all the designs. Recently, I was working with Tracy on this modularization. So we create component documents for every single component. So I find it this is a significant difference compared to my past experience. Whenever I write a lot, they ask very few questions. As I mentioned, I had to spend some time writing documents, but at the end, during design QA, and also during the sprint, they don't really ask any question because they know what they have to do. Yeah, that's about it for documents. So it's moving on this cooking topic. And yeah, as I mentioned, I'm doing in a document or outside a document, like I'm trying to do some small bit of things that I can help them save their time. Maybe, I don't know, asset names. So I would clearly, maybe, yeah, asset names. So sometimes like small things. So whenever I'm telling them something, so I like put a screenshot and mark it clearly. This is the section I'm talking about. There are many things like I can do a bit of extra to save their time. So yes, to do that, I have to spend my time, but I know at the end the return is good because they're not confused and they're asking few questions after that, and I can save a lot of time after that at the end. And also the next thing, I like having the one-on-one meetings with the engineers. This is I used to do this before settle as well, but now I prefer doing it in person, but now we cannot. By one-on-one, I mean, this is usually happening during development stage. So whenever they have a question, so during the backlog grooming, I have an idea how much time they have to spend on one ticket, right? So then if they're late or something, I just like checking with them how it is going. So whenever if they have a question, they always tend to let me know that yeah, I'm trying to figure out something. So sometimes they want me to think about a different solution instead of this because they are saying this is not possible. But at that time, so I try to like get into a call and discuss with them instead of changing that. Is there any other way? So I really enjoyed this bit. I just want to mention. So sometimes I just discuss logics with them. So sometimes I tell them, well, how about let's get this value and then try to do this. So instead of it leads like involving with them in the development stage, like building logics. So I did this a few times during this modularization project we did for mobile. I really enjoyed this. So yeah, that's one thing. And the other thing is stand up. I rarely do this, but stand up, I mean, I used to join their stand up like 1 or 2 days on the second sprint if I have time. So then and then I just go in there and just listen what they're talking about. So then I have an idea what is happening. So just to get an idea, but I haven't done this very recently. But if I have time, I um, I like to do this also. Yeah. This is not a thing I do, but this is not for me as well. So I'm not organized. I am still work in progress. Maybe Chin can do another session on this in the future knowledge sharing. I think I'm trying to be organized. At least the things in at least bit organized in documents. At least bit organized on things I hand over to the engineer. So I try to have like clear file names, layer names, um, asset names, and stuff such. So I'm still work in progress. I just want to put it there. This is a note for me as well. Yeah, that's about it for cooking. So let's get into the second topic. Before that, give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to drink some water. And yeah, this is testing. Testing means, as I mentioned, it's design QA. Design QA is what it's QA is. Design QA is just looking for bugs. So this could be UI bugs, UX bugs, or maybe just app like crashing or whatever the bugs I can find on the app or any case, any website or anywhere. So this one, I trying to do this even before the dedicated QA person start testing, and I'm doing this within the sprint. The reason is if I do it quickly, then I can get the issues fixed within the sprint. Otherwise, in my experience, I know if there's a UI bug, if that bug goes to the next sprint, that particular ticket will be in the lowest priority of that sprint. So if they don't have time, then that ticket is getting dragged to future sprints. You never know, it's like 400 future sprints. So I try to avoid that. So because of that, I always try to check for issues uh, within the sprint. So to do that, one thing I do is I mark the ticket in Jira as watching. So when I mark the ticket as watching, so then I'm getting emails when they change the status. So whenever the status is in code review or ready to test, I just take that ticket and finding UI issues or UX issues, any design related issues. And the next thing is small mistakes. 1 pixel mistakes, by that I mean small mistakes. It could be a 1 pixel mistake or like very small things. So I tend to ignore these in the past. So I was thinking, why should I report this? This is okay, I can live with this. But I find it like whenever, let's say I'm working on one screen for like 6 months, and there are many sprints, so we are changing tiny bit in every single sprint, and then if every single sprint has a 1 pixel mistake in over time, there will be a huge mistake, huge issue, huge bug. So to avoid that, I'm reporting these small things as well. uh, Sometimes it won't get fixed, but I try to get everything fixed. But yeah, I'm reporting small things as well. To report, I'm using Figma, and recently started using the Mad Kit. I think everybody is familiar with the Mad Kit by now. So uh, yeah, if somebody not familiar, that is the kit we are using for these measurements and documentation. So this all these stuff from the Mad Kit. So just feel free to explore. And yeah, I'm using Figma and the Mad Kit to report issues. So I'm trying to clearly send them a screenshot of the design, and then this is what I want. So I clearly marking the issue and how to fix it if I know how to fix it. So in this example, so 12 points is what I wanted in left and right margins, but here on the left it's 8 and the right is 7 or something. So when I'm reporting the bug, I letting them know, hey, the issue, I need 12, but you have 8 and 7 on left and right. Instead of just letting them know left and right margin is incorrect. So if I say left and margin, right margin is incorrect, so they have to go back to the design. Maybe they have to go back to the document to see which one is the correct. So they don't. So if I report it like this, they don't have to spend much time. So they can get they can fix the thing quickly. Um, and could be and another example is this again, the calendar component. So this one, what I wanted intended thing is this bottom sheet needs to be 90% in device height, but here it's not for some reason. So I mark that in red color and say, yeah, this is the size I wanted, and it's wrong. And let's say I found some issue on UX or something, some behavioral issues. So if I have to give them a video, I do that as well. The reporting bugs, the method I'm using, maybe this is wrong, I don't know. But what I'm doing now is I directly message to the developer, because sometimes I'm finding these issues even before code review. During code review also, maybe their ticket can get rejected and they have to do some changes. So when I'm reporting, it's like code, the ticket get rejected during the code review is not because of the UI issues, it's because of some technical issues. So I think it's okay to check during code review. So I check that during that time. So I'm reporting directly to them about the issues. And also I'm letting the QA person know. Then yeah, so then the QA person is aware of these issues and they don't have to check this again when they do. So like in a way I'm helping them to do their job. I don't know, I'm not doing that job, but yeah, helping them in a way. So helping them in a way as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, though, that's how I report the issues, and then I'm letting the QA person know as well, so they can keep track on that as well. And also, if they're asking some questions about, if let's say they're asking a question that I have already stated what to do in that kind of scenario in the document, then instead of just explaining everything, I can easily ask them to refer the document. I send them the particular section that they have to refer, and they will go there and they will fix the issue. And this is something extra. So this is a feature on Android called layout bounds. That is this one. So when you enable that, it is inside the developer options on settings on Android. So when you enable this layout bounds, so yeah, I can clearly see layout bounds. This is very helpful for me when I'm checking a build. As an example, for this title, let's say this, I want to measure the space between the title and the scene. So if I didn't have this layout bound, then I might have just draw a rectangle and try to measure, but you can see this text has extra spacing because of the line height. So without I don't have this kind of a like layout bounds, I don't know what is the size of the text. So that is very helpful. And also this is helpful for me to see touch areas. So let's say we have like a very small button. We wanted the touch area to be bigger. So instead of just tapping around and see whether actually it's working, I can clearly turn on the layout bounds and see what is the touch area. Yeah, and one other thing I noticed working with the engineers, they're making some common issues like for themselves. Like, so some engineers making, let's say as an example, they forget to change the corner radius every time. So some engineers forgot to do line height every time. They forgot about it. They forget about the letter spacing. So they do the same mistake again and again. So whenever I'm changing teams, joining new teams, so the number of bugs I have to report to them is big. But when I'm reporting the same thing again and again and again, so they notice they're doing that mistake as well. So over time, after a few sprints, they stop doing that issue. So as the mini bugs I reported in the beginning, at like over time, the number of bugs I had to report getting lesser. So, and one more thing I do, sometimes I do when I'm checking is I take a screenshot of the actual build and I put it over the design and then reduce the opacity, see whether it's just jumping here and there. But of course, it's going to happen that because it won't be that perfect. But yeah, hopefully one day it'll be pixel perfect to that level. Hopefully, yeah. And the next thing I do is working closely with the QAs. By this I mean what I currently do is I have asked the QA. So in a sprint there are few tickets, right? So it could be UI tickets or just backend or whatever. So if there for UI tickets, I have asked the QA not to pass the ticket without checking with me whether I have checked that or not, without asking me whether I have tested that ticket or not. So I find it is very good thing because no tickets getting getting approved by the QA. They won't sign off a ticket without asking me, because most of the time when they start testing, when the QA start testing this particular ticket, I have already done with my design QA. So in most cases that's like that. But if, let's say I was not able to test a particular ticket, the QA is not signing off a ticket off that ticket, that checking with me. So that's I find it is a very good thing. And developers are aware of this process as well. They are aware that QA is not marking a ticket as pass because without the design review. So then the developers are pushing me as well. So okay, did you check? Because the engineers wants to get their ticket approved as quickly as possible. But having said everything, sometimes there's a limit. So so sometimes the issues I have to prioritize. Sometimes if they have free time, then if I want, the main goal is to get everything fixed within the sprint. But if it's not possible, if they're saying it's not possible, yeah, it's not possible. So I'm not like stressing them out and pushing them and asking them, yeah, you have to fix this kind of. No, I'm finding kind of like a middle ground and be like compromise a bit. So if there's a ticket that if I know there's an issue that they cannot fix in the sprint, so yeah, I ask the QA to create another ticket, then I keep an eye on that ticket in the next sprint. And yeah, so I'm trying to do that, because instead of like pushing them, so it's like finding some middle ground instead of like stressing them out. And yeah, that's design QA. And let's get into the last topic, that is adapting. I didn't mention what is this. By adapting, I mean adapt a little to their process. So this could be a bit controversial, I'm not sure, but everybody has their method of working. So like as a designer, the way I work, the tools I use, the language I use, it's different. When it comes to the engineer, they use different language and stuff. So, and again, things I mentioned about the tickets, the UI issues, everything. I'm trying to find like a middle ground. So this doesn't mean I sacrifice everything I do. I don't sacrifice, like I won't. I'm not saying I'm sacrificing everything in the design. So if they say they cannot do it, then I won't say okay to every single bug they have. So like trying to see what's possible, what's not possible, and yeah, finding that perfect middle ground. And also some engineers prefer calls over chats. Some engineers prefer like in-person meetings. So if not now, but before COVID. Uh, but let's say a call. So if they prefer a call, so if I have time to like always jump into that call and like try to help them in that way. So I'm working with two engineers. It's contrastingly different. One person really want to take calls for like if I send them a message, if I ask them a question, he always asks want to take a call. So if I'm free, I've just jump into that. So I find it nice as well. So in my previous company, I had one guy. So whenever I report bugs, so he want me to come sit next to him and then go through the bugs again. I know it's kind of wasting time, but so that he do that because he want to make sure he understood everything and do it correctly. So that's kind of it. And the other thing is I'm trying to like I'm appreciating them. Yeah, or trying to maybe faking it also, but sometimes we have like very crazy concepts and stuff, so they put their effort to it and they do it. So whenever they do something, maybe a small thing, a big thing, I try to like appreciate them as yeah, as much as possible. So they like to receive that comment as well. So when they put some effort, they will do it like work really nicely. So I appreciate them. So they like this relationship, I think. So the return is good as well. So when I have a good when I have that kind of a relationship, they tend to say they won't be saying no to the things I ask. So yeah, that's one little thing. And next thing is, as I mentioned, so engineers using different language compared to us, and it's different from engineer to engineer as well. So in my first few days working with the engineer, so I get to understand what what languages they're using, what kind of terms they're using to describe particular things. So if it's not a common term we are using everywhere, that is like a term only that person is using, but I'm trying to use that term and uh, help them in that way, so they don't have to go back and translate everything in their head. Like yeah, like some of us has to go to Google Translate every now and then when I'm reading a message, yeah, and translate everything from Malay to English. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, I'm saying if the common language, then yeah, they understand when I'm using their language. So okay, and yeah, and at the end, it is their product too. So I met few engineers, let's say not in Settle, they really don't care about the design. So I met some people, some engineers, they just want to finish their ticket. They just want to do a perfect code, bug-free code, and finish it everything, and get over with it. So they do a good job in technical side, but the design UI issues and the design side, they kind of trying to ignore. When that is happening, sometimes like I casually letting them know this is your product too. So if you're going to tell someone you're working at this company, even if you're talking to like a head of engineer in another company, but that particular person also not going to check your code first. The first thing they're going to check is the live product. So if it's an app or website, they're going to come and check that live product. Same goes to the designers as well, same goes to me as well. So if I'm talking to someone, nobody going to ask for my Figma designs or anything. Whenever I say I work at this company, I did this project, the first thing they're going to do is check the live project. So this is so the developer and the designer both has to work together to achieve that good product. So I'm just casually let them know, yeah, you should know this as well. So yeah, this is something because all the things I mentioned can be different. This is like an evolving process for me as well. So based on the concerns they have on my document, I'm changing that in my next document. Let's say based on the bugs I find on uh, when I'm doing design QA, sometimes to avoid that bug, I'm including that particular bit in the next document. That's kind of stuff like every day. It's like evolving thing, and yeah. So that's adapting. From that, yeah, we have covered all three topics. Before wrap things up, I have a question. Um, should designers learn to code? So maybe it's not a related question for 2021. I don't know. But from my personal experience, I would say yes. But yeah, with a but. And yeah, but the reason I'm saying that, so yeah, at, from the the things I was doing with the engineers, I found it somewhat easy to discuss with them, somewhat easy to understand their language, their think process, how they're coming up with the logic and stuff. Find it easy to deal with them because I kind of know something. I don't call myself an engineer or anything, but I kind of know something because at Settle I'm the person who design and hand over the stuff to engineers. But in my previous company and also yeah, within brackets I'm still doing freelance for that company, that Sri Lankan company. They for them I do front end iOS. I don't call it engineering, but yeah, something. So I'm working with another designer. So that designer passed me the designs, and I'm working on it. So I find it sometimes it's very difficult to work with that particular designer because that particular designer has no idea what I'm doing. So that's just my personal experience. I'm just stating it here. I think I leave this topic to Gaddafi for a future knowledge sharing session. And with that, thank you very much. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Melan. That's quite a very informative presentation about how to work with developer.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we can open the question to the floor lah. Anyone have any question to Melan or how to work with developer faster, efficiently?
I think we have several questions in Q&A. We can pick from there.
Okay, let's go through that lah. I have question like the one-on-one, right? I mean,
Mhm.
how often do you do that? Is it like at the end of the sprint, middle of the
Uh,
sprint?
no, I don't do that like every week or such. So like if they have a question or something, so then I'm jumping into a call and discuss with them. So it used to happen a lot when I was doing this modularization ticket with the engineers because that's something new for them as well. So I'm not doing that like every single day, every single sprint. This is
Mhm.
for
Oh,
regular tickets on delivered to me and stuff. Rarely happens. Yeah.
oh, okay. So that means it's not that often lah.
Yeah, not that often. Depending on the engineer as well. So sometimes they want to have a call and discuss. They want to explain the issue they have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way also to actually, fix all these issues
Mm.
rather than just writing it. It's like also, how do you check one PX mistakes? I find it very hard to, you know.
One thing, like as I mentioned, sometimes I do take that screenshot and put it over the design and then reduce the opacity to see it. Um, and then the other thing is I just measure. So like I take a screenshot from the actual product and then I draw like rectangles on Figma and see what's the size and everything. So then yeah, I can. So let's say there's a button I want it to be 48. Then I can just maybe I can just take actual button component and place it over that screenshot, and then I reduce the opacity and see whether it's telling.
Oh, that really work, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've never done that. I mean, I've done that, but I think the measurement is a bit off, right? Some of the screen.
Sometimes of like let's say then let's say there's a text or something. So I'm trying to be like, then I'm just moving the screenshot and just nudging here and there, and then trying to overlap one particular object to perfectly fit, and then based on that relatively measuring the other ones. So let's say there's a title or something, so that I align the title on
Ah,
perfectly, and then I measure the other stuff, because it's very hard to, I think on mobile it's not one, like it's always there going to be some like 1 pixel issues here and there, but yeah, trying to avoid that. Yes.
okay. So that means we try to recreate or match it with the same size of the phone, right? And then only can match with the element.
Yeah. So yeah, let's say if I'm taking best, yeah, first thing, yeah, the screenshot, I need to know from which device I took that screenshot. So because I know the pixel size of that the devices I have, because Figma is allowing to, like when I create a new frame, that can select which font size, right? So I'm taking screenshots on my phone, that is iPhone 10 size. So then I'm placing it perfectly onto that. So when I'm taking a screenshot, it's 2x, so I reduce it to 1x. It's like that. Same goes to the Android phone as well. So I know the size of that phone, so I can resize that screenshot to fit to that frame, and then start measuring. Yes.
Ah, okay. Nice, nice. Okay. We'll be sure to actually do that from now. Anyone else have any question?
I
Just
have
give me.
one.
Hmm.
So, Melan, when is the best time to apply the med kit?
Sorry, I'm at kid.
Yeah,
Uh,
when is the best time to apply the med kit?
I think you mean for testing or writing documents?
It can be both.
The writing
When's the
documents.
best?
Yeah, I think
I mean,
there are at least something we can use from the MadKit when I'm writing documents, uh, because there are some annotations and measurements,
mm,
devices, components, everything is there. So
mm,
whenever I'm writing documents, at least one, yeah, when I'm writing a document, I can always use that, because
mm,
in many, almost like all the documents I have this, and at least I have the annotation, like giving them
mm.
what are the elements of that particular screen. For design
That's
QA, I use it for, mainly use it not for measuring, but when I'm reporting an issue, I've now recently started using the MadKit, because the engineer is
mm,
kind of familiar with that style from the documents as well, so I'm trying to keep that consistency with them.
interesting. So the med kit, since when you already developed, you use the med kit for the component, right? So when the
Yeah.
other designers, going to push their design that using your component, do will do they will still need to do this, use this med kit?
You mean if the component is already there on the developer side?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if the UI component is already there, yeah, no need. So
Mm,
because in there, then you can just use the MadKit and use the component and let them know, yeah, we have reused this particular component. Let's say we have a button, so
mm,
then just can easily put uh, let them know that we have used the button component, and you can use that as well. So there's a component
okay,
section in the MadKit, so yeah, so we
right,
can use that particular section, particular
right.
component.
That makes sense. All right, thanks, Melan.
Yeah.
Melan, you mentioned just now that when there's a Jira ticket, right, you can actually set that as watching.
Mm-hmm.
So that means any changes in that particular ticket, you can actually receive the notification into your email. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Whenever I think if there's a comment also, yeah, all the comments. Sometimes it's a bit annoying, but if there's all comments and then status changes, I can see that. I can get the notification, and I also am getting this Slack Jira thing.
Mm.
Yes, update on there. So
Yeah, because I think it's different from team to team on how our designer work with
mm,
developer,
mm,
because
mm,
some
mm.
are not really close to developers, so they hand off from the development to QA pass it to the review, right? There won't be any designer won't know lah that thing is happening. I think this is quite useful for um, some teams lah that actually not really they have this kind of issue lah. Then so that means on your side, after code review or before code review? Before code review, lah, right? To actually check the design.
Yeah, depends. So yeah, it's a code review. Sometimes it stays there code review for like few days. Sometimes it's few hours. So whenever this ticket is on code review, I try to take it that time. So if I'm busy or something, then it will be on when the status is ready to test or something. Sometimes even when QA is testing, I'm testing on my side as well. There.
What do
But
you do?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead.
No, what I'm going to say, what I wanted to say is like I tried to get the ticket when the ticket status is ready to code review. At that time, I'm trying to pick that ticket. Like yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do. But sometimes depending how busy I am. Yeah.
I think I like the way that you work, how you start working with engineers, like attending the daily stand up, start knowing them, right?
Mm.
And then start.
That yeah, stand up also like I find it very helpful that Slack group. So I always like talking with them in there. And stand up, I do that depending on how complex the tickets are. So like when I was doing when we were doing this modularization, so they had few components to work with. So so they had to do few components. So a couple of times I joined stand up on the second week, so see what's happening. So then I don't have to ask them again and again, yeah, what's happening. But only if the tickets are complex. It's not,
How about your feature team? Are you still attending the stand up?
yeah, it's the same thing. But for features, I used to do that when we had that big design overhaul and delivered to me. That couple of sprints I used to join. And yeah, depending on the tickets.
Okay.
Milan, usually when you receive the what do you call it, the build right from QA, uh, how much time that you have to actually do the QA review on your side?
Yeah, first, yeah, I'm not receiving the bill from QA. So when ticket, yeah, when the ticket is on code review, so I think it's automated message or developer update and the Jira ticket with the build number, right? So I get that build number and I go to that Slack channel and then download that build and then start testing. The time actually, it won't take that much of time, but depending on how big the ticket is actually. But usually the tickets are they are dividing the tickets into small pieces as well. So it won't take that much of time. But yeah, it's all depend on how much I have to test. Yeah, how complex the thing is.
Do you prioritize that?
What do you mean? Or like overdoing designs, I prioritize
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Let's say you have other things to do, right? Because there's a time limit for this actually. Otherwise, you just pass it to code review, right? So
Uh,
within what's the time frame? Is it like within 2 days, within 3 days? In
it
your
won't take
case,
that for it testing. I think this is because of the app, so it will be different for other platforms, but it won't take days. I think it'll be just few hours to test. So for the second, yeah, this is usually happening on the second week. I'm trying a lot. I think I'm trying my best to get it test before it goes to merge,
mm,
before it go to MR. So yeah, it's actually I think it never happened. I think I was able to test every ticket, I think. But if there's an issue, but like if there's like a very simple ticket or just something that time, I'm just asking the QA to send me screenshots. So and videos and stuff so that I can check from there. So there are some things I have to check on the device to see it properly. Sometimes, let's say I have some haptic feedback or some gesture or something, then I won't be able to see it clearly. But like 9 out of 10 times I'm trying to install the build on my phone and try to test. But if it's a very simple ticket or if I'm very busy, then I'm asking the QA to send me screenshots and videos.
mm, okay. Yeah, so usually it's the second week of the sprint, right?
Yeah, usually it's happening depending on the ticket also. Let's say like a very simple ticket, so then they maybe they will do it in first couple of days, but usually there are only one or two tickets for mobile engineers, so usually like most probably it's happening on the second week.
Mhm. Okay.
There's a few more questions. I think we should get them.
Okay.
No, if you can go. Okay, let me read them for you.
Okay.
From Danny,
Mobile.
can we get a example bug report procedure, like creating ticket and engineer workload?
Yeah, I don't see that here, but
Right.
example of bug report. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. So maybe the way I'm doing is not correct. But what I'm doing is whenever there's a bug, I'm reporting directly to the developer because the most of the time the ticket is on code review or something, so they're still working on it. So I'm reporting that directly to the developer in Slack. Uh, I met some engineers, they prefer have tickets inside the bugs reported inside the ticket, but now what I'm doing is I'm reporting in Slack with screenshots and the videos as I mentioned. Then I'm reporting the same thing to the QA person as well, and then the developers start doing so. So every single bug, every single UI bug won't get reported in the ticket in my current team. The UI bugs, the bugs are reported. If it's not like a very complex thing, it won't get reported in the ticket, so it will get fixed on how to say it, on like on that same sprint. They take that ticket again, they start fixing my issues, then they're letting me know, yeah, this is done. Then I'm checking again. Meantime, at the same time, QA person is testing the build as well. So the QA is testing many things, not just the UI. Like they have to test many things, right? They have to check for crashes and all the cases, whether it's working properly. So at the same time I'm testing. So everything is happening on the same time in my current team now. If it's a complex one, so if it's a blocker or something, yeah, that goes to the ticket. I don't know whether I answered it correctly.
Okay. Next
That's
one
a
from Farisha. A bit late to ask, haha. But is the calculation spacing diagram done on Figma?
Yeah, it's available on the medkit. Shall I share the medkit? Yeah, it's available on the medkit. You can go to. I think I have to share again. Give me a second.
Okay.
yeah, basically it can be used. Yeah, Faisal can that one already done by Melan, so you can use that component into your design for
You can
the
go
space.
to. You can search for medkit or document or some. Yeah. It's in the flow and what is that file called again?
You can just search it on the Figma, right? Mac kit and
Yeah, I found it.
Okay. Last question from Reese. How you react when the ticket created is not what you actually expected?
The bug fixed or the. Sorry. I think I didn't get it.
How do you react when the ticket created is not what you actually expect? I guess.
How I react? I don't know. Maybe I might get mad.
is it what you're asking this one? Reaction or what?
Yeah, actually, how to, I mean, so I am having some issue where where I mean, actually, I did put all the issue in one place, so they just create one ticket, which I mean, some of the ticket is not included what I wrote. So can we macam can we how to react? I mean, hey, your ticket is not complete with my expected result. So
Yeah, so
how to
I won't get mad at, maybe I'll get mad behind their back, but I won't be like telling like that. But I think yeah, as I mentioned, like in the earlier days, there are so many issues, but when I'm like keep on reporting issues, the issues are getting lesser and lesser, because some engineers don't really, some maybe don't care about fixing UI issues, but maybe honestly, maybe some they don't understand how to, they don't see the issue. So that's why like I try to keep like communicating with them a lot. Whenever there's an issue on the second time, then I'm saying, yeah, still not fixed. They fix it again, still not fixed, still not fixed. Sometimes there are cases I have like test the same bill for like more than 10 times because they're fixing the same thing 10 times. uh, Maybe they'll get mad as well, but it doesn't, as I mentioned, it doesn't mean like I'm pushing them and asking them to fix everything. So if it's really not getting fixed, or if it's a blocker, then I'm pushing that to the next sprint. And answer your question, the reaction, I think, yeah, I'll be a bit mad, but I won't show it to them. So just if they do the same mistake again and again and again, then yes, I think I'll be mad.
So Melan, in your experience of have you get the users have you have a case study about this medkit? What's their reaction when they see this? When they share with them,
Yeah,
are they actually like respect that, or they still you still need to interfere, like need to talk to them. This is not right.
yeah, so they really appreciate the documents we did for design system stuff. So actually, when I was like collecting points for this particular session, I asked those developers, what would you expect from a designer? So what are the things in your experience, what are the things as a designer we can improve? So both of them mentioned that proper documents. So, and they say our design system documents are good, and they find it like very easy to work when we have that kind of stuff. And yeah, so as I mentioned, I didn't have any experience writing any document coming to settle. So I see like a huge significance difference on how easy to work with the engineer when I have a document in my hand. So that's like the only source of truth. So I can always refer to that. So if they make a mistake, so then I can always ask them, I always, they can point to that particular part of the document and ask, yeah, you didn't do it correctly, so this is what I wanted. And it's, so when I say that, so they are fixing. So yeah, so having the document, having the mad kit, I think this kit, having this, I think it make the documents, I don't know, a bit organized, I think, I don't know, but I think that's helpful as well. This kind of stuff, like as I mentioned, this is the component component. So whenever I have some kind of like a component, examples, yeah. So this one. So here I have this bottom sheet. I'm using the bottom sheet component and a title header variant. So I put this in the document. So then the developer can easily refer to their particular components, their UI library, UI components, and then can take that particular component. Same goes to the button, the shadows, and everything, because we have everything standardized now in the system.
So even you use the component, you still using the medkit to highlight which component that you use, right?
Yeah, I try to do that
Yeah.
because I'm afraid maybe, because actually happened. So this one, I didn't have this button. I didn't mark this as a button. So I assume developers have a good communication with each other. They don't have any documentation explaining which are the components, which are not. So the engineer who did this particular component, he's a new engineer as well. So he did everything from the scratch for this particular, the button section. So then I had to ask him. I didn't even notice. So I found an issue, and then I checked the original component. That one didn't have that issue, but the one he did has the issue. Then I asked him, and then he did everything from the scratch. So to avoid that, so I'm trying to include that in the document as well. This could be this one actually in current documents I have it like a separate section has UI characteristics, and I put this kind of like a chart. It's kind of like a I don't know, design there.
So in order for these for the engineers to refer to this component, they first need to understand the existence of the components, right? The one that we design, that we design lah, right?
Yeah, so every single component we have, they don't have all. They have few, like most common ones. Now they have the bottom sheet, buttons, headers, and everything. So when I let them know that yeah, this is a reusable component, so I think they have their own way of getting that component from the code base and then reusing. So they have their own mini app kind of a thing, so they can play around with that. So they have that. I'm not sure how it's working on that side.
So how you actually communicate that with them? I mean, the whole components that we design, right, in the design system. So how you communicate that? Example here in your mat kit, you actually point this bottom sheet is named bottom sheet title header. How you communicate that for them to refer to that component in our design system?
So because we are so this is the name we have on our component set as well. So like if you go to mobile design components, this is the title header, the name we are using. Bottom sheet. If I go to the document, if I'm not mistaken, it has to be the same name we are using here as well. So in the documents we so we call it title header as well. So and in their side they're using Tracy did this document. So in their side they refer to that as a title header as well. So every single place we're using the same name because they are referring to this document, they're following this naming. So so for whenever I same goes to these as well. So they refer to the type text styles like this the same way we do. They do the same way as well.
Nice. Okay, I think we have reached the end. I think we are a bit over time lah. Any further question? We can post it on the channel. Can directly go to Melan lah directly. This just for your info that this video is recorded, so I'll be posting it to the channel. You can ask any question to Melan lah. Oh yeah, if you guys interested in any new topics that you guys think is very useful to any designer or any topic like you guys want to learn, I'll post a link to the Trello board, so you guys can actually put any topics there, and you guys can actually vote which topic you guys think that is good for the next one lah. Thank you, Melan, for the sharing. Thank you also those that joined this session.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Melan. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.